Now, coming up in the Bulletin, Supreme Court hearing election petition jails Daily Searchlight newspaper editor and one other for contemptuous comments about its proceedings. Parliament postpones debate on amendment to Communication Service task. Strike by teachers of teacher training colleges disrupt final exams. World Bank warns against over-reliance on gas from the West Africa gas pipeline, even as officials announce a completion of repair works. And though the Kaneshi Footbridge may look frail and scary to users, the Ghana Highway Authority says it has more bridge life in it. We also have sports, showbiz, and international news coming up.
News at 8 with Israel Live.
In our very first story, Deputy Information and Media Relations Minister Murtala Mohammed has defended President John Mahama's directive to the Attorney General to consider possible prosecution of persons indicted in the Auditor General's report for misappropriating state funds and causing financial loss to the state. He was addressing journalists at the Flagstaff House media briefing.
The Deputy Minister was reacting to ongoing public debates in the media raised after the statements made by President Mahama.
The statement is supported by the Section 71 of the Financial and Administrative Act. It wasn't out of place that His Excellency the President gave that, and more so the platform he used. This was an occasion where we were virtually honoring, if you like, our senior citizens.
Murtala Mohammed said the directive is not only constitutional but signifies government's resolve to punish deserving persons irrespective.
It is important that the public pronouncement that was made by His Excellency the President has attracted the kind of discussions that we have today. It's a critical issue. It has to do with the taxpayers' money that some individuals, for one reason or the other, would dip their hands into. We have had several, if you like, Auditor General's reports being submitted every year. And what we do in this country is that any time at all the reports are made public, we lament, we discuss, and that ends it. It is about time we started taking firm actions to ensure that those who are cited in that report are prosecuted if they need to be prosecuted. We've also listened to concerns being raised that you have the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament that has also the responsibility to more or less look into some of the issues. But it doesn't prevent His Excellency the President from making that pronouncement.
President Mahama yesterday gave the directive during the luncheon with senior citizens at the State House. He was responding to a request made by a representative of the senior citizens, Dompiahene of Ekuapem, Nana Oyemansa.
Well, the Ghana Navy is taking over guard duties at the Flagstaff House from the Air Force in the usual monthly rotation. The rotation initiative was instituted by President Mahama this year. The men in uniform trooped to a parade to symbolize their preparedness to protect and defend the presidency as well as the sovereignty of the state and received their orders. The St. Kizito School in Nima got the chance to witness the ceremony firsthand.
I feel so proud to be a Ghanaian. I even want to join the Navy band. I didn't even know that there was something called exchange of guard. So it was very, very educating too. So I enriched to the government that anytime they will have a program like this, they should invite schools or students to come and witness this.
It makes me feel proud that we also have good militiamen in our country, like how the whites also does. And also I would like other schools to participate so that they will give them the insight to get inside the cadre so that they can be professional soldiers in future.
I understand that when the police people come here, it don't mean that they rest for the whole day. Another person to rest. It makes me feel happy.
Northern Regional Commander of the Motor Traffic and Transport Unit of the Ghana Police Service, Superintendent Blair Wushi Godwin Cashman, has lamented the constant interference of opinion leaders and politicians in the region is unduly undermining the bid to enforce road traffic regulations.
The Motor Traffic and Transport Unit in the Tamale Metropolis recorded 51 cases of road accidents, which resulted in 45 deaths. Superintendent Blaushi Godwin Cashman, speaking to Joy News on increasing cases of road accidents in the Tamale Metropolis, said the interference of opinion leaders and politicians make it difficult for sanity and discipline to prevail in the region. The worst offenders to traffic regulations in the metropolis, according to Superintendent Blaushi Cashman, are motor riders.
Immediately the motorbikes are bought. The front driving mirrors are removed. And from investigations conducted so far, it is their presumption that if you don't remove it, then it means you are a villager. Not knowing that they are rather fooling themselves, because the riding mirrors allow you to see what is behind you. Some are very, very recalcitrant. They don't want to take simple instruction. So the next operation we are going to do, which will come on very soon, we are going to arrest all these people and arraign them before court.
Meanwhile, the motor riders in the metropolis told Joy News of Camera that though they are aware of the dangers of riding without crash helmets and side mirrors, they feel uncomfortable riding with them.
Now, still to come in the bulletin, we'll be going over to the Supreme Court and the fallout of its ruling today. 2 persons have been jailed as a result of contemptuous remarks they made on proceedings regarding the ongoing election petition hearing. But right now, though, the Kaneshie Footbridge shakes, has visible cracks on the concrete floor with weak metal railings, but authorities say the bridge is safe for use. Speaking exclusively to Joy News, Adelaide Arthur, the director of bridges at the Ghana Highway Authority, Owusu Entry, said contrary to popular perception, the bridge is nowhere near collapse.
Due to its strategic location, the Kaneshie Footbridge is exposed to heavy human traffic daily as users move from one end of the dual carriageway to the other. Pedestrians as well as traders fear the footbridge, which is built of steel with concrete slabs fitted for the walkway, could collapse anytime soon because of its current state. But Director of Bridges at the Ghana Highway Authority says, though the bridge appears weak, it is actually strong.
I wouldn't say the bridge is near collapse. Currently the bridge deck, that's a concrete running surface, has some infill gaps, and the infills have removed, so we have the gaps appearing within the slabs because they are concrete slabs that were put on the steel deck. We have a plan to do the infill, and the infill will be done this weekend. The bridge is still safe to use. The vibrations are not that severe. They are containable. We've dared to look at the vibrations. We've interviewed people on it. We've also experienced it. But it's nothing that should put us in fear.
According to Mr. Entry, the presence of a major storm drain underneath the road makes steel an ideal material for constructing the bridge.
Because of the speed at which it needed to be constructed, once the road was finished, we needed to put a bridge there easily. Concrete takes a longer time to construct. Steel is faster. And 2, because of the big storm drain under there, it was felt that the steel is lighter in terms of the concrete. That's why the steel bridge was used over there. Ideally, this part of our world would prefer using reinforced concrete instead of steel because of we are very close to the sea. But once you use the steel demands regular painting and rehabilitation, unlike the concrete, which gives you a longer period for the maintenance.
Owusu Entry says the footbridge will undergo major rehabilitation once a report detailing the nature of the bridge is completed. He, however, added there are no plans to pull down the bridge, which was constructed in the late 1980s by construction pioneers.
The Ghana Electrical Contractors Association is advising Ghanaians to engage only licensed contractors in wiring their homes. The association believes this will help stem the growing incidence of poor wiring, largely blamed for the frequent fire outbreaks. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
At a workshop in Kumasi, the national chairman of the association, Joseph Walker, said the 2008 regulations insist that every electrical contractor must go for certification before taking up a project. He said the association therefore expects electrical wiring jobs are to be undertaken only by a certified electrical wiring professional, CEWP, adding that the Electricity Company of Ghana must also be entreated to demand that power is connected only to homes or sites where the wiring have been done by the certified professionals.
Look for a competent electrical contractor to do wiring for you. We've permitted every electrician, giving him an ID. You need to inspect his ID, inspect his license. It's just like a driver or a vehicle owner employing somebody without a license. It's very dangerous to that effect. So we have given everybody a license. So as a layman, if you don't even know anything, ask the person, please, do you have a certification? Do you have a license? Before you give him, he or the person to allow him to get into your premises to do a job for you.
He appealed to Ghanaians to rewire old buildings that have hanging wires in them to avoid possible fires. Ashanti Regional Chairman Daniel Fosu was worried about the inferior quality of electrical materials on the market and appealed to the appropriate authority to assist eliminate them. He blamed the growing use of generators for the rampant market fires.
The power outreach has allowed people to buy generators in their shops, and you can imagine that the generator is being used by petrol, and if about 100 or 200 generators in the market, it is perfumed. So if somebody is walking around with a slight of heat, then it sparks.
The ongoing strike by training college teachers has disrupted end-of-semester exams. The teachers boycotted supervision of the exams in compliance with the strike, leaving the stranded students in a dilemma. Their action is to back their demand for the elevation of training colleges.
Our College of Education campus Tuesday morning looked deserted. Few students were seen learning in groups and others on their own in preparation for the exams scheduled for the week. Even though authorities were available, they declined to speak to the issue and even tried to prevent us from talking to the students. The students affected by the strike, however, refused to be gagged, lamenting their finances have also been affected.
And there are rumors here and that either we'll go home, some are saying we're going to rise, some are saying that we're going to stay next week. As of now, we don't even know our fate. And actually, conditions on campus now is in a hell, because most of the students, as you can see, most of them are scattered. You don't even know what you are learning. We're supposed to learn today and write. The thing didn't come on. How sure are you that tomorrow you'll write? So we don't know.
If we have to stay on campus for an extra week, meaning we'll have to pay for our feeding and all other kinds of necessities on campus, which we are not ready to pay for. Because most of us struggle out there to pay our own fees by the help of some parents. Others also pay everything on their own and cater for their own families too. So if we have to go home for a long vacation, work, earn enough to pay for our next semester, and all these things are happening, it's pushing everything forward in a negative direction. We want to have a positive news by the end of this week. If not, they should let us just go home.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education says the technical committee set up to look into the issue of the tutors is said to have submitted its reports.
The report touched on three main issues: scheme of work, status of the various colleges of education, as well as their condition of service. We realized that there were issues that needed reassessment. Subcommittees were asked to look at those two issues and then come out with their, the final report.
Deputy Minister of Education and Head of Tertiary Institutions, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, is also said to be in the Ashanti region, holding meetings with the national executives of CTAG to see how to resolve the impasse.
Well, coming up on your report, which is next, what constitutes a no parking zone? Now tonight on your report, Angela sent us a video of what she says is a disturbing trend. She says no parking signs seem to have taken over our streets, with almost every shopping town having this sign placed on the side of the streets heading to their shops. She says, I find it interesting to know that these shop owners set up these posts without the notice of the authorities in charge. No parking, they say, is a measure to stop commercial drivers from making stops in front of their shops. They tend to create space for their potential customers to easily make it into their shops. Perhaps the right authorities may have to take another look at this. She wants the city authorities to check this practice. We're taking a break. We have more stories coming up. Don't go away. Parliament today had to extend sitting to debate the report of the Finance Committee on the Communication Service Tax Amendment Bill and whether it should be treated as an urgent bill to go through all the stages in one day. The proposed amendments seek to bring clarity to aid the smooth implementation of the Communication Service Act 2008.
The committee, in its deliberations, considered the bill to be of an urgent nature and requested the House to take it through all the stages in one day in accordance with Article 106(13) of the Constitution and Order 119 of the Standing Orders of the House. But some members questioned the justification for the urgency.
Mr. Speaker, the committee needs to tell us. It's very important, Mr. Speaker, because, as I said, if it's additional to the budget, then certainly this is not the time to bring it. It cannot be urgent because you need to come up with a supplementary budget to seek permission from Parliament to spend. It doesn't say so here. So I'm wondering, now I'm confused. Is the committee saying that because there's been revenue shortfalls in the first quarter, there's a need to fill the gap? Urgent bills are exceptional in nature and must be resorted to as sparingly. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, in this case, it seems to me that this particular bill should not have been introduced as an urgent bill. And the committee has not held this House.
This generated heated debate in the House, with the majority leader imploring the minority leader to seek guidance from the lawyers on the minority side of the House.
Why we are saying that is that as long as a minister has constitutional functions and statutory functions to perform, those functions, he can be assisted by his deputy or deputies to perform them. This is all that the implied power here is saying, unless you have a different understanding of implied power. And I guess the lawyers here should assist the minority leader to understand, particularly the former Attorney General, that implied powers is a legal constitutional category.
But this drew a quick response from the minority leader.
With respect to the majority leader, I don't need the assistance of senior lawyers here at all. Mr. Speaker, the words are clear, and they should be clear to the majority leader. By necessary implication of what he is saying, the president, in the absence of a cabinet minister, should invite the deputy minister to fill in. The president doesn't do that, and that should suggest to you strongly that you are wrong in this way that you are going. You are totally wrong.
Even with the extension of sitting outside the normal hours, the House could not resolve the matter and deferred it to tomorrow.
Over 300 people in the Abura Asewu Kwamakese district of the Central Region have benefited from a medical screening exercise organized by Positive Ideas International Foundation, an NGO with support from telecoms firms Tigo.
The exercise was to ensure that people who do not receive adequate health care get access to it at their doorsteps. The corporate responsibility manager of Tigo, Deborah Akakpo, indicated that the program forms part of the company's social responsibility.
We believe that health is wealth. If you have good health, you are wealthy. Because if you don't have health, that means you are not alive in the first place to even enjoy what is in this world. And so we are very excited to partner with PIIF to be part of an initiative that will allow the members of the community of Bafuyao access medical services that would improve their lives.
The founder of PIF, Cephas Tokonu, who is visually impaired, hoped such exercises would help people know their health status and access health care at the right time. He says he is motivated by his own story, having become visually impaired about 12 years ago due to poor access to health care.
And I anticipate that most people may also go through what I went through. And in order to prevent it, we decided to establish this foundation, which is Positive Ideas International Foundation. We're into advocacy training, and then we provide medical care to persons with disability. Somebody may have fever, but because of poverty or because of ignorance, the person may not be able to go to the hospital. So we decided to bring that medical care here.
The leader of the medical team, Dr. Pius Sando, said diseases diagnosed include diabetes, hypertension, stroke, and malaria.
Older patients, we realize that most of them are defaulting treatment. They are not actually going to the hospitals. They are not taking any regular medications. So that's the challenge that we have. So their blood sugars are not being well controlled. Their BPs are skyrocketing, and they are not taking any medicines for that. So we are trying to at least start them on a dose of some drugs to control their sugars and then their BP, and then write referrals to them for them and encourage them to go see physicians for regular checkups and then treatment.
On to a very top story now. The Supreme Court has sentenced editor-in-chief of the Daily Searchlight newspaper, Ken Kranchi, together with a member of the NDC communications team, Stephen Atubega, to prison terms for contemptuous comments made against it. Kweku Boaheng, a member of the NDC who was also dragged to court, was however discharged after he proved to the court that he had not made the statements attributed to him. The three were summoned over comments they had allegedly made on proceedings of the ongoing election petition hearing.
It was all drama at the premises of the Supreme Court when editor of the Daily Searchlight newspaper, Ken Kranchi, a member of the NDC communication team, Stephen Atubega, and an NDC stalwart, Kweku Boaheng, appeared in court after they were summoned by the panel of Supreme Court judges hearing the case. When the case was called, Stephen Atubega was the first to appear in the witness box, and he wasted no time in offering an apology to the judges for his comment.
My lords, I apologize for my irresponsible statements. I should have been a little bit careful and picked and chosen my words very carefully. I humbly apologize, and I think it will not happen again. And just for the record, my lords, I started apologizing way before I even got the summons.
A well-prepared Kweku Boaheng proved to the court that he had made no statement deemed contemptuous and proved his case.
My lord, the publication is false. It's false, yeah, and I've never made a statement on any of the FM stations in Kumasi. My lord, on Thursday, I did not go to radio stations in Kumasi. And the manager of the FM station are prepared to testify.
It was, however, not so simple for the editor-in-chief of the Daily Searchlight newspaper, Ken Kranchi. His lawyer, Tachia, first sought to argue his case out. The judges, however, requested the presence of his client to take the witness box to speak for himself.
I have, thank you, my lord, that you know that when you come to court, you are supposed to be fair to the facts. You have no right to misreport the facts. But this is what is happening in Ghana today. When you get up in the morning and it's a court day, Monday to Thursday, before the court begins to sit, people sit on radio. And in fact, when the cameras are thrown into this hall, people begin to comment on all manner of things. All manner of things. They begin to guess what lawyer Alita will say, what lawyer Tashikata will say, how Addison is going to reply. Now, beyond that, beyond being fair to the facts, there is the issue of the rulings that Michael Lord gives.
After a recess to deliberate on his plea, the President, Justice Atuguba, gave his ruling.
Stephen Atubega has shown thorough remorse, having admitted his error readily and started his retractions before his appearance before this court. Nonetheless, his utterances were very serious. They were intentionally made contemptuously. Accordingly, we find him guilty of criminal contempt and sentence him to 3 days imprisonment.
Ken Kranchi, on the other hand, has hardly shown any remorse. We were left in no doubt that he understood those parts of his publication which impute deliberate selectivity and hypocrisy with regard to our remarks about daily guide and Samuel Awuku's sanction. Ken Kranchi clearly said that Samuel Awuku was right in discarding us as hypocritical and selective. A thing Samuel Awuku himself fully retracted and apologized to this court. If this is not defiance of the authority of this court and the due administration of justice, we do not know what else it can be. We have no doubt that the said statements are made with intent by him to defy the authority of this court and the due administration of justice. Accordingly, we find him guilty of a criminal contempt of this court and sentence him to 10 days in prison.
After the court's ruling, a rather calm and collected Ken Kranchi posed briefly for the cameras before being whisked away in the police vehicle.
We have business news coming up next.
Joy News Business is brought to you in association.
The delay in the completion of work on the gas processing plant could cause the Jubilee partners to begin flaring of gas. Although there were concerns that wells storing gas produced from the Jubilee field can no longer do this beyond June, Tallow insists it can hold on until the third quarter of the year. But Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Mohammed Amin Adams, says that dangers are imminent. Now, the Senior Industrial Relations Manager of the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union in Takrady has cautioned all companies operating in Ghana to allow their workers to be unionized or face the dire consequences. Francis Salah's comment follows harassment and subsequent dismissal of workers who decide to join the unions. The most recent happened at the African Oil Field Services Limited, where the management dismissed the local union vice chairman. Up next, we bring you market data.
Was brought to you in association.
Other news, the West African Gas Pipeline Company, WAPCO, says the damaged pipeline is fixed and ready to distribute gas to Ghana and its neighboring countries. WAPCO is, however, unsure when they will receive gas supply from Nigeria for distribution. But the World Bank is asking Ghana not to be cautious about its over-reliance on gas from the pipeline, as it is highly unsustainable.
And air, which was used to dry it, they don't mix. They are not supposed to mix. So after we dried it with hot air, we then had to put in a gas which they call inert gas, which is supposed to make it impossible for the natural gas and the air to mix. So we did that, and then we followed it with natural gas to push the nitrogen out. And that process has been completed. So right now we are ready to deliver gas on behalf of the suppliers of the gas, once they are also ready to deliver.
The instability in the country's generation capacity in the past 11 months has largely been blamed on the West African gas pipeline, which got damaged in August last year. Its gas will bring the 200 megawatt Sonin Asogle plant back on stream. The World Bank report is, however, advising government to rather expedite the development plan for the country's next oil field 10 and the Sankofa and Ghana gas projects to be completed by the end of the year, so that the country can receive additional gas by 2017. The report underscores the need for Ghana to have options apart from the West African gas pipeline, owing to the huge demand for gas in Nigeria. Though WAPCO agrees with the World Bank, it believes safeguarding marine installations is essential.
I think it's logical that between August and now, if there was some other source, Ghana would have been able to get it in. What I found missing was the issue of security of the pipeline and of marine installations, and that was what I was bringing to their attention, that I think that we need to also highlight that and take steps to safeguard the pipeline and other marine installations, to make sure that we don't have any damage that would create problems with the supply or delivery.
For Kwabna Donko, Member of Parliament Select Committee on Energy and Mines, the use of gas should be complemented with coal.
Coal-based generation is cheaper. And so if you're going to use coal, especially in the case of Valco, we can have a dedicated generating plant system which is coal-based and which will be cheaper than gas, dedicated to Valco. Valco needs about 350 megawatts to run fully. If we have a plant of about 500, 600 megawatts, they can then sell the surplus to the national grid. But Valco can then operate all of its 5 port lines, and the employment generation, the revenue from taxes, etc., will make up for whatever losses would have incurred up front.
Meanwhile, the World Bank says Ghana's need for power generation will increase to about 4,400 megawatts, 2 times the current generation capacity, and rely more on natural gas in the next decade.
Sports is brought.
Time for the very latest in the world of sports. Let's talk about the Black Satellites. And the Black Satellites' hopes of clinching their second FIFA Under-20 World Cup would hinge on tomorrow's pivotal round of 16 clash against Portugal. The team led by the anointed one, Celestete, trained this afternoon.
Satellites had their final training session this afternoon ahead of tomorrow's round of 16 clash against Portugal in the ongoing FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Turkey. Celastete's boys secured qualification to the knockout stages after finishing amongst the best 4 third-place teams at the group stage. The 2009 title winners are built to face Portugal, winners of Group B, at the same venue where they defeated the United States of America to secure their qualification. Inter Milan midfielder Alfred Duncan, who missed the victory over USA, will be available for selection. Assistant coach of the team, Yao Prekon, admits the Portuguese test will be a Herculean one.
Especially playing against a European team full of black players is not going to be easy. It's always difficult. Okay? So it's going to be very difficult. But I believe the boys, they know what is at stake. The likes of Bruma, I watch him I've seen him in the Portuguese league, and he has what it takes. He's very swift. He's speed and very speedy, and he knows how to finish as well. So we're going to watch some of the tapes, and then we'll make sure we'll see how best we can stop them. But don't forget, us, we're thinking about them. They are also thinking about us. So that's how the game goes. When you're thinking and you're stressing yourself over the opponent, they are also stressing over you. But at the end of the day, it's the boys who has to go to the pitch and do the job. So we'll do our best, and then see how best we can win.
Should the Satellites win, they would face either Croatia or Chile at the quarterfinal stage.
So you continue to say a prayer for the Satellites, and of course that's working very much. Let's talk about some of the games that have gone down already. And in the round of 16, Uzbekistan beat Greece by 3-1 as well. Spain beat Mexico by 2-1. France beat Turkey by 4-1, and Uruguay beat Nigeria by 2-1. That means that Nigeria have eliminated, and obviously Ghana is the only African representative over there. Let's do some university sports now. And the Ghana University Sports Association has rounded up preparations for this year's World University Games scheduled for Russia this month. The 28th-man contingent would leave the shores of Ghana tomorrow for the 27th Universiade.
Ghana University Sports Association have ended their 3-week training camp at the University of Ghana, Legon, in preparation for the World University Games slated for Russia from 6 to 17 July. The contingent, made of 18 athletes and 10 officials, would leave the country tomorrow for the Kazan-bound Universiade. Ghana would participate in the sprints and long-distance events for both male and female, and will showcase some great talents harnessed from the various public universities in the country. Joy Sports caught up with some members of Team Gusa on the final day of training.
The preparation isn't that bad. We've trained not too long, but I guess with the training we've had, we'll do better when we go there.
As a team, we are praying to make like 51 seconds. My personal best, 12.5.
Actually, right now, I want to be part of the first 3. They should expect me coming back to gold.
Hopefully, we have trained for a longer period, for at least 1 month. So we are now on top form.
Funding for events of this nature has been a struggle for the Ghana University Sports Association. And treasurer of the group, Elvis Hagan, says this year was no different.
It's a bit unfortunate. Anytime we travel out, all that we hear or see is that the participating countries, in terms of that is at the tertiary level, are being funded solely by the state. Everything right from their preparation through competition. So even they come are borne by the state. Here we are left on our own. It's like perhaps nobody cares. So it's a bit unfortunate. We've been struggling for the past 4 weeks trying to get somebody to listen to us. Perhaps we would have to accept our faith and handle issues from our own level. So I'm praying that something good will come out of this. It's a bigger platform, but we are still believing that with the current crop of athletes that we have, we'll come home smiling.
The 3-week Universiade will see universities from around the world compete in over 27 sporting disciplines. China won the last competition, which they hosted.
Well, that'll be all for sports tonight. But just before I go, a quick advice for you. In an era, obviously, where we have to be very careful about what we say. Let me tell you, be careful about what you say about the Anointed One. He is the Anointed One, Celestete. Just be careful what you say about him. The name is George Addy Jr. It's George Jonas with Showbiz. You have a good night.
Sports was brought to you in association with
Now that's it for the bulletin. Before we go, the Supreme Court hearing the election petition has jailed the Daily Searchlight newspaper editor and one other for contemptuous comments about its proceedings. Parliament has postponed debates on the amendment to the Communication Service Tax. The strike by teachers of teacher training colleges has disrupted final exams. The World Bank has warned against over-reliance on gas from the West African gas pipeline, even as officials announce a completion of repair works. And though the connection Footbridge may look frail and scary to users, the Ghana Highway Authority says it has more bridge life in it. That's it for the bulletin. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a good evening.